The way I use it is, if I'm trying to update a certain script or add some new feature and I have a general idea of where to start looking for something, then, I'll go through and kind of search until I find what I need and then go look at it in the live system. Um, or if I know I need to change a certain calculation, same thing as in FM perception, I can run a quick search for the calculation and find everywhere it's used or everywhere it's referenced. Um, but my general workflow, is to identify like the starting point, in something like this, and then go to the live system and then actually look around.
Yeah.
Um, if I were doing something where the system is constantly changing, there's a bunch of developers working on the system at the same time, and you need much quicker snapshots to be monitoring the changes. FM perception sounds like it'd have the advantage there if it doesn't need a pre-parse. Because this seed system dev file, it took an hour and 11 minutes to pre-parse. Like, granted, this is a huge
Huge.
file.
Yeah.
Like almost every other database I've ever used parsed in 10 minutes or less.
Yeah.
This is just a hugely complicated file.
Yeah.
But if I do something like hide bill to and I just search for it appear in the quick find, I can see
Oh,
almost the same exact thing that you saw. There's what, 9 different places where it's used, they're all layout
yeah.
objects. I can click on any one of these and I can see
Oh,
here's
yeah.
exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Uh,
What I do really like though is, and this is one of the things that I couldn't figure out how to do in FM perception. I don't know if you can, and I just couldn't, figure out how to do it, or if it's
mhm.
just not possible. Because this is all pre-parsed and you know, these are all FileMaker records, basically, every calculation, every script, every step, what you can do, for example, at least before I knew about that to empower thing, we had to update in a previous company, we had to update like every send mail script step that had a certain hard-coded value in it in like the SMTP settings. So step one, identify all the places that have that script step. So you could do a, send mail to start with. Okay. In this situation, there's 162 script steps. So from here, if I wanted to only have a certain subset, maybe I know for sure that all of the SMTP settings are good, and I'm only interested in the ones that are sending with the local client. I can enter find mode, go in here, type in SMTP, change it to omit, constrain. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's handy.
That's the biggest thing for me, really, was being able to have that kind of access to find very specifically what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, I wonder if I can do something similar in FM perception. I mean,
This,
I know I can do a flat single find, which is easy. But if I were to give it parameters in the find, yeah, I don't know if it can do. I don't think it can do that. I can filter down, uh, you know, certain things, and I can group things in certain ways, so that way I can the things that I'm primarily concerned about are grouped together. But yeah, I can't really filter down like that, as far as I know.
mm. Another thing I like, and this may be true of FM perception, but here in base elements, because these are all just records that are imported into a database, I can actually edit them, or this is just text, So if I wanted to, I can, like that script step example, when I was looking at every send mail step and I was going through and updating them one by one. What I could do was start at the top, work my way down, and as I go through them all, I can just change the font color to something different to keep track of what I've done and what I haven't done yet.
Oh, that's
Um,
handy.
And then, because what you're doing, isn't, I mean, obviously isn't part of the live system, if I afterwards want to then have a fresh import, a fresh copy to work with, you can just re-import that same DDR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Something else that I haven't messed around with too much, but I do like that it gives you these snapshots of where you can find things to improve in the system. So, like for example, there's a large number of objects, it thinks are causing performance issues in particular, that you can click on and it'll go into the detail of why and help you like zoom in on those.
Yeah. Ah, you can filter down to a certain extent, but in a different way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's interesting. In FM perception, if you go into the specific thing you're looking for and then change your filter to everything, it'll filter your current found set. And so if I find all send mails, then I do a use the text search, but switch to everything, and then type in the thing that I want to narrow it down to. Then it will filter down to those three. But that's the extent of your filter. So
Mm,
yeah, so that is like one level of filtering, or yeah, two, I guess. But yeah, that's interesting. Huh. I do like that of being able to use it as kind of like a checklist, right? Like it's you can track your progress in your
hmm.
found set of things. I like how base elements can do that. That's handy.
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes
But
what I'll do is in FM Perception, I'll just copy all of my found set, put it into a text file, and and just marking things off, or just make a checklist based off of that found set.
mm,
Um, Along with that, it is really nice to be able to. So, if FM Perception has the feature where you can copy it directly for FileMaker, so you can click on a result, copy it for FileMaker, and literally paste it into the solution directly from FM Perception.
hmm,
Uh, but yeah, being able to filter in that way is pretty and use it in that sort of way is you can modify, your found set, the data in your found set on the fly. That's handy.
yeah, it really is.
Is there like a notes field as well? Is that what that is on the right?
Yeah, that's right.
I remember when I did use base elements, that notes field is super handy.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've used FM perception, so I'm trying to think of like what the
Right.
differences are, like if much of any. I mean, I kind of thought that FM perception's big advantage was that it worked by hooking into the live system. I didn't realize that it was using DDRs.
Yeah, no, it's based on DDRs.
I don't know why I thought it could hook into the live system.
Yeah, I don't know.
One thing in FM perception is that you can take multiple DDRs of the same system and run it through a comparison.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep.
This one has something like that too, I think. I haven't actually tried it, so I don't know how well it works, but
Oh, interesting. It's built
uh,
into base elements.
yep.
Like, oh, okay.
Um, oh,
Oh,
yep, there we go.
interesting. Oh, yeah. Huh.
Yep, I haven't tried it before, but
Yeah. Huh. Cool.
let me see what else. I mean, one thing I just really like is and I'm sure this is probably true in FM perception too, but just being able to, if I have a certain field that I think is the one I want to be looking at in order to make a big change, I can take that field and come in here and just, type it in and see what happens with it.
Yeah.
So let me pull up my notes real quick and try to get an actual example. Oh, okay, here we go. Here's a good one. So, I was working on this one ticket where a summary field on a report was not showing the number the client was expecting it to. So, just with that ticket description by itself, that's enough for me to that in the screenshot they helpfully included. Find the layout, go to it, layout mode, see what field it is, and then once I've got that field, I could come over to base elements here and just paste in that field. So I know this is my table here. So if I just click on this one, I get this little, top level view of the field, and then I can click on calculation to see exactly what it's doing. Items used will show you that same criteria that you can pull out of the XML if you were to export it. I don't know if you ever
Uh-huh.
actually like look at it before,
Yeah.
but it has all these references in there, which is kind of handy because then
Yeah.
here all of those are.
Right.
And then there's no alerts on this. I don't know what that would show if there was, but and then objects is nice because it tells you where you can see that field at.
Right. Right. That's super handy. Yeah, it's I use that pretty often when I'm like, it says it's on this layout. Where the heck is
Yeah, exactly.
it?
And then again, this might be something that's in FM perception, but I do like when you're looking at a script, for example, it will give you this version of it where you can see each step on its own line where you can jump to it or jump to the calculation within that step.
Oh,
Or you
nice.
can view the friendly, human readable text that you can
Yeah.
copy and paste somewhere.
That's handy. Oh, I like that where it just shows your list of parameters.
Oh yeah. Let me go back to that. Yeah, honestly, the tool is probably capable of a lot more than even I know it is, because
Sure.
I use it in a very certain way, for A, make sure I'm not going to break anything when I need to make a change. That's probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
And then B, I mean, as we saw from the front here, this system is what 1,000 something layouts, 1,000 something scripts. It's huge. I mean,
Yeah.
so for me to step into this solution and even with that starting point of knowing what that field is to try and track down where it's used or what it's even doing, like it would take, yeah, I could spend a year doing one ticket.
Right.
But with this I can just kind of identify the key portions of the database pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is pretty interesting how you use it versus how you use base elements versus how I use F and perception are really very similar.
Yeah, in a way, like
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
I I do like like this, field, for example, when I searched it, and I'm, like in the circumstance when I was trying to use it, where I've got this ticket I'm trying to solve and I don't know what this field even is, let alone, what half of the solution is doing.
Right.
And um so I could come in here and I could, click on the field, and then from within the tool here, I can, inspect uh the the field, where it's used, look at all the relationships that
Mhm.
that table has to every other table. I actually prefer to look at all that in the database itself.
Yeah.
Um, I like to use this to give me a starting point, or at least where the starting points are. But then once I have those, I prefer to go back into the database and step around myself because when you're trying to learn a new system, sometimes having all of that thrown at you, getting the bigger picture of how everything works is a lot more valuable than getting the little filtered view.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
agreed.
for identifying what's going to break when you change something, this you can't beat something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. I think this kind of, just puts the defining um use case like every developer needs a tool like this. Whether you're using base elements or FM perception, or I haven't used Inspector Pro, but like these have become invaluable to how we do research, into our solutions, especially when you're working on so many different ones at the same time.
I don't, for some of the solutions that we inherit and have to support, I don't know how we would do it effectively without one of these.
Right.
I
Right.
don't know if FM Perception has this, but it's kind of handy. Just being able to look at a script and then if it's got subscripts that it calls, being able to actually include that subscript right in the same view of the
Yeah,
parents.
that's nice. FM Perception cannot do that. It does make it pretty easy to look at, subscripts being called. And then you can open new windows and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, you cannot see it in line.
Mm.
FM perception also has a visual representation of the script chain.
Yes. Yep.
I don't know if this does. Admittedly, I've never really looked before. That's usually the kind of thing that I'd like to just have the debugger open and step through things where I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.